Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me along. Thank you, Eileen, for inviting me to INEX here. And hopefully I can be of some benefit. Particularly, as I understand it, we're all meeting in these new ways over computer screens and so forth, and we don't have our usual manner of introducing ourselves. So I'm going to do my best to sort of give you an idea of who I am and why I'm here and how it might be helpful to have a psychologist to tell you things. Now, coping with COVID-19 as best we can. It's a brand new phenomenon, but everybody, of course, is going to do their best. Resiliency is the way that people tend to try and want to approach these things at the minute. It's a bit of a new idea, building up people's resilience, making everybody more resilient in a number of different contexts. Resilience, as I would understand it, is sort of the flip side of the coin from anxiety. So many of the things that I might have been doing for many years, working with people who have anxiety difficulties, will be relevant here from the other way around. So this is me. I'm Dr. Tim Green. I have been working as a clinical psychologist now for 23 years, which is quite a time, and I've enjoyed it very much. I've worked in a number of different areas. I've done a lot of work in psychiatric care. I've done a lot of work in forensic settings. I've done a lot of work with the police, helping the police both build up resilience and do some work with how to interview suspects, how to interview witnesses to crimes in particular. Loads of work with the courts and a lot of work in business as well. I've done presentations similar to this to a lot of the big banks over here in London, around Canary Wharf and so forth, and some of those have been beamed around the world. I've done teaching in some developing countries on how to structure services, but also how to support each other as staff working together, which, as I understand it, is one of the challenges for the brave new world that we're now in, is how to keep that feeling of support, camaraderie, colleagues, comrades, if you will, when you're doing it remotely. Bit of a new thing, but hopefully we're all going to be able to help each other along quite a bit. Now, what I'm proposing to do today, having done this a lot of different ways, I found this is a useful way. I'm going to start off with looking at a bit on the science of it all, why we need resilience, why we get anxious, a bit on ideas about what we often call sort of models of the mind, so the brain being one bit and then the mind being the more esoteric part that doesn't have physical structure, but it's still a phenomenon that we recognize and experience. We experience anxiety or sadness. You can't pick up a lump of sadness and put it on a scale and measure it, but you know when you feel it, or love, or happiness, and so forth. So how it works in the brain, how it works in the mind, and then what we can do to change our experience. At the moment, you know, we can see on the news, we can read in the papers, we can see in the faces of our family, probably seeing the face in the bathroom mirror. People can be feeling uncertain, anxious, and there's a threat to one's resiliency. What we're going to work with today is looking at ways that we can take how the brain and how the mind work and take greater authorship of our own experience, how we can decide how we feel, how we can influence without having to talk to anybody, without having to go anywhere, without having to leave our own skulls, how we feel and how we experience the world. This will have a knock-on effect on performance. So you will feel better and you will do better, I hope, is the notion here. So I hope everybody can see the pointer here. I always think it's fun to start with a picture of the human brain, gets people involved. We've all got one, don't leave home without it. What we're going to be looking at today is how different bits of the brain work and how you can work with them. This is one of your organs in your body, one of your muscles, same as your right arm or your left leg or anything else. You can sort of choose what you do with it to an extent. You know, you need your legs to walk, that's their task, but how you walk with them, whether you're running, walking, jumping, is something that's more in your control. Now, there's a lot of different parts of the brain here, obviously. The bits we're going to be looking at today is this prefrontal area. And this bit down here, which is called the limbic system, these represent two very different parts of human being and human behavior, human experience, human decision-making that will lead you to that experience. Down here at the very base of the brain in this limbic system bit is where we have all the bits that we need to keep us alive. And over here, this is the sort of the bit that's in charge, the more parental bit. And sometimes I like to say, this is the bit that sort of decides where you're going to party, and this is the bit that thinks about your pension. So you're going to party or pension, depending on the circumstances, depending on the context you're in. You might choose to do different things at different times. This bit down here, around the bottom, very base of your brain, deals with things that you need to stay alive. We as human beings need to keep going and keep the human race going. And sometimes that's referred to as the 4 F's that you need. You need to feed yourself. You need a fight response, thinking about evolutionarily, everybody had to fight in the jungle in order to get food. You need a flight response. If you're losing that fight, you have to get away. All these things you need for human beings to keep human beings going, to keep ourselves propagating as a species. And the 4th F is, of course, reproduction in that theme. These are the 4 F's you need to sort of keep human beings alive on the planet. But that's not too rude. Just see if you're paying attention. That's the brain bit. Now we're going to the mind bit. This is where the sort of the models of mind or the theory of mind might come along. Now over here is, this is our limbic system down here, which can be the troublemaker, where you've got your basic emotions, very, very base emotions, how anxious you get, how angry you can feel, depression and so on. These are things that can be automatic. As we grow older and mature out of childhood, we don't just lash out, we learn to sort of think about things. We don't just burst into tears, we learn to try and reason our way out of something. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, sometimes we don't. The cortex here, higher cortex, is the sort of smart bit. It's where you've learned things and experiences taught this part of your brain through what we call neuronal plasticity. In a plastic way, it can change and mold according to experience. And then we've got this prefrontal bit again, which is the sort of the pension part. This is where your thinking happens. So you've got the emotional bit down here, the wise bit up here, and then the reasoning part here. This bit is very much under your control. This is where the action happens. This is where the party is at. Some neuropsychologists talk about the left prefrontal cortex, which is really where your personality is, and it's how somebody who knows you at work might describe you. This is your thinking and reacting part. And they say the left prefrontal cortex, don't leave home without it. It's important to have your work. Excuse me. Okay. Now, just back to that one for a minute. The purpose in showing this is that my job here today, I think, thinking about resilience, is to be an empowerer. I want to empower people to feel that they have some control, or they can work in a to and fro way with your own brain. You can use your mind to work with your brain. Ultimately, you'll be able to come away with strategies, very tangible strategies, to control your emotions, to feel different, to experience your day differently. Okay, so back to the basic sort of 4 F's bit. This is a human body, and it's a bit too thin to be me, so it's not mine, but it is how all bodies work. Everybody in different states of context, different states of being, will react in different ways. I'm showing you this one, thinking again about resilience being the flip side of anxiety, to show you what a body does when it's under an anxious situation, by having a panic attack. Now, you might have a certain context that'll lead your body to behave in a certain way. Evolutionarily, we needed this as cave dwellers. If you had to get out of the way of a saber-toothed tiger, it was very important to have the skills that would let you do that. Similarly, today, if a joyrider came around the corner in a car, you need to be able to get out of the way. You need the blood from your heart, the oxygenated blood, to get to your muscles so it pumps faster, get that rapid heart rate thing when you're feeling anxious. Your brain starts rushing, you can feel a bit dizzy, because again, the blood's being sucked out of your brain to go to the major muscle groups to help you fight or flight. You'd be breathing very rapidly to get the oxygen to those muscles again. You're sort of having the headaches I've mentioned, a sense of doom or a sense of panic. It's actually your brain trying to process the information that's coming at it at twice the normal speed. Just think very fast to get a reaction, to get a plan together about how you're going to get away from this tiger or this joyrider. This can lead to blood pressure changing, give you fatigue, your tummy will become upset as, again, the blood goes away from your tummy, leaves you feeling butterflies or feeling a bit sick. People often sort of feel like they need to go to the loo. This is your body trying to lose weight so you can run away. All very, very necessary, very, very normal things People have often come into clinic and said, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. A&E is full of people every week coming along presenting as though they're having a heart attack, and they're actually having a panic attack. Nothing physically wrong. In fact, there's everything physically right. This is what your body needs to do and how your body has to react to help you manage in situations that are strange, startling, different. You have to think fast and you have to act fast. It's exactly what your body should do. Your mind and your body working together. René Descartes suggested differently, and there's a book out there called Descartes Has a Lot to Answer For, which I do recommend. It's a bit of a boring read, but or a bit of a chunky read, but it raises interesting questions about how we think now that bodies and minds work together. Okay, very normal to feel anxious and very helpful to build up resilience. Now, on to models. We've looked at what the brain is, what the mind is, and then how to work. What's a model of the mind that we can work with, actually make change, effect change by our way of being and by our choices. I think this came from some play, as an old English play. I don't know, some guy, Shaftesbury or something. Apparently it's very good. Nothing's either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This is the cognitive behavioral model of anxiety, CBT, all the rage. And this is just a neutral example. So you're walking along, see someone you know, wave at them, but they don't wave back, walk away. How you interpret, how you think about that will direct and change how you feel, react how your body reacts, because you might be getting that fear or panic response, and it will change your behavior. If you react that negatively, like, oh my God, they're ignoring me, I must have done something wrong, they don't like me, you start having these panicky thoughts, you get feelings of anxiety, oh my gosh, I'm upset, I'm feeling rejection, I feel guilty, what do they do, what do they do? Physically, you start having a panic attack response, as though there is a tiger or a joyrider. Perfectly normal thing to do when your brain is telling your body, or when your mind more accurately is telling your body that this is what's going on. Your behavior then, you withdraw, you're feeling, oh gosh, I'm not good enough, criticize yourself, ruminative behavior, not helpful. Another way to do it would be think about, okay, maybe they just didn't see me, or maybe he was actually in tears about something, some tragedies befallen him and he wasn't in the mood for a conversation, or poor bloke. You'd feel rather differently. It's not to do with me. You can take an exit strategy right here and just change your thinking, thereby change your experience of your day. You won't get the physical reactions and your behavior will become different. A lot of this can be influenced by past experiences. If you were somebody who had suffered a lot of rejection in the past, or somebody who had a bit of a habit of being irritable and you'd often sort of find people ignoring you, something you need to think about maybe, but it doesn't alter the fact that as you think about it and work with your mind at that time, you can directly, within that nanosecond, change how you feel. The thought is your thought, it's your responsibility, which also means it's within your power to change your experience. Very good stuff. So same thing again, just with a more bold model. If you can evaluate thoughts that you get, don't hand your power away to your brain. Don't hand your power away to your brain. Use your mind to change how you feel and change how you behave. Be more resilient by your own thoughts. Use the power of your own thinking, your own power of your bright minds. You're all engineers, you're clever people. You know how to look at a problem, evaluate it, quantify the difficulties, and then make change, which is going to create a positive outcome. Same thing working with your mind. Evaluating the thoughts thoughts are very automatic, so you need to catch them and then work with them and change them. Once you've done that, you'll be able to replace them with more helpful or more accurate thoughts, and it will alter your day, which will alter your performance. All within your gift, absolutely within your power. It is your choice how you have your day. All right, so COVID-wise, well, we are in uncharted waters. Price of oil going negative. Never happened before. All sorts of things never happened before. Doesn't mean the sun's not going to rise in the morning. Doesn't mean you're not going to have to feed yourself and your family. We need to sort of do our best here. As I've just said, good news is an awful lot of that, or an awful lot of how you experience that, is within your control. You don't have to have a depressed, hopeless day. You can work with your thinking to change that and make it a productive day. Now, I did do some work for a TV program on a Horizon documentary on good old B.Sc a few years ago now, which recreated situations that can happen in some terrible regimes in the world where people are put into solitary confinement and isolation in the dark all the time and so on, and built upon some studies done in the 50s and 60s in North America, looking at how people react when they get very isolated. And people get dreadfully ill, mentally ill and physically ill. As a result of this, immune systems deteriorate, people can start hallucinating, all kinds of things due to the monotony. Now, this is a bit of a problem. Cabin fever is like a mild version of that. This is something we need to be mindful of, aware of, and then we can do something about it. Make sure you structure your day. These are things you probably have heard in the Sunday supplement type of TV or bits of the internet and what have you, but it is really basic, but really important. Get up, have a shower, get dressed, do a day that is a day, not this sort of mishmash of hours and sort of is it daylight or not. You know, people find their sleep pattern can deteriorate. You get reversed sleep patterns, so you're awake till 3 in the morning and then you can't get up. Very difficult. So doing that is useful. You can take charge of that by self-monitoring. You know what you're doing. Sometimes you can have your watch or your phone or something telling you you've had X amount of screen time, what have you. Be careful to do a variety of things through your day. Talk to people, either people in the mask of your front door behind that in your house, or like this, online, ring up old friends, write a letter to somebody. Wow, we could always do that. Anything at all, just keep in touch, make contact, have variety, all important things. Try not to anyway, do a lot of the self-soothing behaviors that people can fall into, drinking, overuse of sort of less salubrious internet sites, what have you. Other self-soothing behaviors of that kind, ultimately, you know, a bit fine, but ultimately too much of anything is not going to be good for you. Keep your priorities right, keep your list of to-do items there, and add some in with making contact with people, be connected, and have hobbies also. Make sure you put some fun in your day. We call that pleasant event scheduling. Schedule in things that you enjoy doing. And, you know, a good tip at any time really is try and do 2 crummy things that you're not looking forward to and then reward yourself by doing a task that you enjoy or that you get loads of praise for or something like that. Good way to think about it. Dealing with isolation, it's within your power. Okay, now this is a slide I think is really helpful to engender a bit of hope in these desperate times. You know, COVID particularly, you know, I got asked to talk specifically resilience around the COVID time, and here we are. Well, here we began, uninformed optimism. Well, whatever, we know what happened in China, but it's not going to open over here. That's miles away. I mean, it's almost sort of 12 hours on a flight. That's not going to make any difference to my life. Of course not. So we were all sort of cheerful at that point. Then things started to go a bit negative. And because we'd had nobody tell us, and because we don't have the skills or the wherewithal or the time to inform ourselves, nobody had quantified the problem for us. That leads us into pessimism. When we feel uninformed, you feel disempowered, that will lead to greater anxiety. So having informed pessimism was the place we've been in. You then get a quick dip in your mood and a quick dip in your resilience. And oh my goodness, can I cope? Oh Lord, this is going to be awful. Resilience down, anxiety up, flipping that coin. So you get this crisis of meaning. What does it all mean? What's going to happen? Oh my God, it's going to be dreadful. And then you really do have a choice. You can crash and burn by just looking for things that are going to have what we call confirmatory bias. So you look for negative things that might be around that are going to confirm we're all going to die. Look at the statistics. You know, everybody's going to sort of choke to death and it's all going to be dreadful. You know, it's just never going to get better. It's never going to improve. Or we can empower ourselves by working with our mind. This is the point here where what you think will change how you feel, how you experience your day is within your power because you choose your thoughts. You can slow down catastrophizing thinking. Think, oh, hang on, I'm getting overwhelming myself here. Just a second. Am I still breathing? Yes. Is my family still breathing? Okay, well, maybe somebody's not very well, but they're in hospital getting that treatment, or we can do that. We can make choices about how you think, and they'll make choices about how you feel, and choices about how you behave. This is where we then start moving into informed optimism. We've informed ourselves, we've empowered ourselves with a bit of knowledge, and we become more optimistic. You can think more positively. You will feel more positive. Okay, I hope that one's clear for everybody. On to strategies. How do we have time? On to strategies. Now, I mentioned this already. Self-monitoring. Quantify the problem. Find out for yourself what's going on. Am I feeling anxious? What am I thinking? Write it down. Write down. My anxiety right now is at about 80%. What's going through my mind? I'm thinking, oh my Lord, we're all going to crash and burn. Well, hang on. How realistic is that? I'm having these physical reactions. I'm sweating. I'm sort of shaking. My heart's pounding. I'm hyperventilating. What's going on? Hold on. What am I thinking? Okay, well, I'm thinking we're all going to crash and burn. Actually, we haven't crashed and burned yet. So maybe there's something better to do. Maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe if I make myself a little list of things I can do today, things I can do tomorrow, things I can do by the end of the week, people I can speak to, offload on, share a problem with, discuss things, good to talk. It might make things a bit better. I know, I'll try that and see if it works or not. Be your own judge. Evaluate things for yourself. You know better than me what you feel like. You know better than me what works for you. You know better than me what thoughts are going to be the right ones for you and the helpful ones for you. Everybody has a different set of experiences in their background. Have that in your mind. Inform yourself so you can inform your thinking today, right at this minute. And you can change how you feel. It's within your gift. Work with your thinking. Well, when I said that one now. This is how you choose to experience your life. Weigh up your thoughts. Be like a lawyer, scales of justice. I'm thinking we're all going to crash and burn. Well, if I test that in a court or I'm a scientist in a lab, how is that real? Is that not real? Yeah, maybe there's some things on the negative side of the ledger saying there's some evidentiary support for my thought or my hypothesis here. But actually on the other side of the ledger, on the other scale, there's a bit that would sort of reject that hypothesis or doesn't support that assertion. Now, this is a big one. There used to be a book called Getting to Yes back in the pop psychology of the 70s. I think there's time for a new book, which is Getting to No. We've got to be able to set boundaries around our behavior with ourselves, first of all. Decide for ourselves when we're going to say no to pieces of work, because everybody gets overloaded too quickly by getting anxious and thinking, I've got to do this to please the boss, I've got to do this to look good, I've got to do this to be popular. You probably don't. You'll still keep your job and you're probably just as popular either way. The thing to do is know what your comfortable boundaries are. Some people need 4 hours sleep and then love their jobs and work 12 hours a day and try and squeeze in a bit of family time. And that is the way things work for them. Might not recommend that myself, but you know yourself if that's what works for you. Other people can productively do spurts of work. I can do an hour and a half and then I need an hour's break, and then I can do 2 hours and then I need half an hour's break. You need to know that, do your own self-monitoring and then work around that. So whatever boundaries feel comfortable for you, you must do. Control your impulses to be anxious. Control following this herd effect where, I've got to keep up with the Joneses and so on. It's not going to work. Only you know how you will work best. And be confident about saying no. It's only 2 letters, but no is one of the hardest words to say in our world. So how do we do, instead of getting to yes, how are we going to do getting to no? Well, one good way is to use I statements. I choose to do this because I feel uncomfortable and I need to voice concerns. Very straightforward things to say. Keep it simple, stupid is always a good philosophy. The KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. Say things directly, calmly, short, very helpful. Try and acknowledge the other person's situation if it's getting a bit sort of, differences. And say, well, I think I can see where you're coming from, or I sympathize with your position, but actually, I have this thought. I, again, change verbs to say will, not could. I will do this, but not that. I won't do that. Rather than, well, I could do it, because then you've allowed somebody to kind of push at your door a bit. Make sure you're very definite, make position clear to the other person. That's containing for the other person. That actually helps their anxiety lower. Makes you more resilient. You feel more confident if they're looking, okay. So just make clear, short statements that are reasonable, of course, but make them clear and short and summarize at the end. Have a broken record techniques. The other one, just think, I'm sorry, I can't do that because of this. I'm sorry, I can't do that because of this. You can use the same words. It sounds patronizing sometimes, the first couple of repetitions, It's actually very hard to do. Once you do it and the person knows that you've dug your heels in, or you've made your position, you made your point very clear, there's nowhere else they can go. Summarize as you go to keep the other person on board. This keeps you in control of your side of the conversation as well. So, okay, so far I heard you say that, and then I was saying this. Do you understand that as well? Is that what you're thinking? Because I was wondering next step might be t'other. Summarize as you go. Again, makes it look like you are empowered, you're empowering yourself, and you're empowering the other person to feel less anxious because you've got control of the situation. You're not all running around with your hair on fire. It's much more safe for everyone. Everybody can have that decrease in anxiety and an uplift in feeling, okay, this is manageable. I can be resilient through this. Physical activity. This is the other thing to do. It keeps your immune system up, which is very relevant in the COVID world. Will help your moods. It helps the oxygenated blood get around your body to all the right places. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. I'm not saying sort of go and do a 5K and give the money to the health service or anything like that. Just do enough that's right for you. It can be 5 minutes. It can be sort of walking up and down like good old Captain Tom over here in Britain at the minute. It's a sort of new national hero. Anything that's right for you. Jump on the kids' trampoline in the garden for 5 minutes might be plenty. Just get the blood moving a bit. Very helpful. Make you feel. It's something you can also get a sense of mastery and achievement from really quite quickly. 10 minutes running on the spot in front of the telly. 10 minutes on one of those little rebounder trampolines. 10 push-ups, whatever you want. Make you feel like you've achieved. You've actually managed something for yourself. As I said before, pleasant events, scheduling, do something you like, make that a part of your day. Reward yourself for having survived at the minute. Reward yourself for resilience, you know. Pop on Amazon, get yourself some 10 quid or 10 euro present that you want at the end of the week. Get yourself something nice at the end of the day, you know, a bowl of expensive cashew nuts with your with a cup of tea at the end of the day, whatever it is. Do something nice that you like. Read 2 chapters of a book. You know, anything that feels good for you, but do it every day because you deserve it every day, and it will keep you feeling more in control of your world. If your world has some happiness in it every day, and you can do that, you can make 15 minutes in your day every day. You can give that to yourself and improve your mood, improve your immune system, believe it or not, and will also make you feel a greater sense of resilience, will make you feel empowered. The empowerment is the big message here. There you go. Sorry, my last slide came upon me rather quickly there. So resiliency, within your gift, saying no, setting boundaries, work with your mind, think about what you're thinking, think about whether what you're thinking is the right thinking. Is it an accurate thought? If not, what would be an accurate thought? And even then, what's going to be a helpful thought? You can do that. You can write down every morning, write down what you're thinking, write down how you're going to manage each conversation. It might be a tricky one. Practice it in the bathroom mirror, whatever you want. And keep these things time limited as well. Don't spend more than 20 minutes doing any planning on these things because otherwise your day fritters away. Make sure you do something positive for yourself, do something physical. And at the risk of sounding like a Brexiteer, take back control. The brain will do what it's doing because it fears saber-toothed tigers and joyriders. Your mind, you can choose what it does, and it will change your body's reaction and your experience of your day and make you feel more resilient if you want to. It's all within your gift. Okay, I hope that's helpful. That's me, that's my email address down at the bottom. Anybody who wants to give me a shout is very welcome to. And I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as I can. But I'm awfully popular, I'm a busy guy. But do please get in touch, and very best wishes to everybody. We are living in extraordinary times at the minute, so please do take care. You're all very much worth it and very important. So thank you, and thank you for having me along. It was useful.